Hi, I have a special request uh, to do a message on abuse. Um, Abuse is rampant in this world today. There are so many relationships that are shrouded in abuse, whichever would occur. I pray these words may go forth, touch spirits and unhardened hearts, and ask these things in Yeshua's name. Amen. So, what is abuse? What is it about? And what does it entail? Very simple. What does the Bible say about abuse? We all know what abuse is. Do we know what kinds it is? Do we know what it's about? We're going to look at that today. The word abuse has taken many meanings over time. Intermediately, most assume abuse involves anger or some sort of physical violence. This is systematically and often misleading view of abuse. Anger is an emotion God gave us to alert us to problems. Righteous anger is not sinful and should not be associated with abuse. Anger mishandled can certainly lead to sinful, abusive responses. But it is a sinful heart, not the emotion of anger. It is the root cause of abuse. The word abuse is used into descript, to mistreat or misuse, or virtually anything. This is an animal, a human, a child. It doesn't matter. Wife, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance. It doesn't matter. Abuse is abuse. We speak of abuse of trust, drugs, institutions, and other objects. These forms of abuse are sinful for the same reason that abuse is directed at people is sinful. Such mistreatment is motivated by selfish and results in damage and destruction. People abuse others for a variety of reasons, but selfish underlines all abuse. We tend to lash out when things don't go our way. I want it my way and I want it my way right now. We're very good at that. Some abuses can be subliminal. Emotional abuse can be difficult to detect because there is no observationable evidence of that abuse. But that does not mean the effects are any less painful or devastating. Examples of emotional abuse include verbal attacks, criticism, favoritism, manipulation, deceit, threats, and withdrawing expressions of love. So, let's look at how the Bible or the world views abuse. What are the different types of dating abuse? And this is abuse is a pattern or behaviors one person is using to gain and maintain power and control over the partner. Many people assume abuse means physical violence is happening, but this is not always the case. Abuse comes in many forms. It is not physical. Explore the types below to learn a few of the common types of abuse. You can better identify them. Experience even one or two of these warning signs in a relationship is a red flag that abuse may be present. Remember, each type of abuse is serious, and no one deserves to experience abuse of any kind. So, if you recognize the warning signs in your own relationship, you can always call, chat, or text to a love is respected or peer advocate. We are here to support you. Heaven Elohim Temple Treatment Center is specifically designed to help you with this. And we will take care of that. With you, and we will help you. You know, the link is on this page. You know, let's first look at physical abuse. Physical abuse is the international and unwanted contact with someone close to your body. Sometimes abuse behavior does not cause pain or even leave a bruise, but it is still unhealthy. Examples of physical abuse include scratching, punching, biting, strangling or kicking, throwing something at them, pulling their hair, pushing or pulling them, grabbing their clothing, using a gun, a knife, or a weapon, striking your bottom without your permission or consent, forcing you to have sex or perform a sexual act, grabbing your face to make you look at them, grabbing you to prevent you from leaving, to force you to go somewhere else. These are usually evident and usually show marks. How do we escape physical abuse? Well, you can call Heaven Elohim Treatment Center for one. A crisis line. In your area will have social services. You can call them. They have houses that will protect you from that kind of abuse. Starting to learn that you are not alone. More than 1 in 10 high school students have already experienced some form of physical aggression from a dating partner. And many of these teens do not know what to do when it happens. If you are in this similar situation, you can call the bullying hotline for one. The crisis line. Most major hospitals have a crisis lines. You call a hospital directly and ask for the crisis line. Realizing this behavior is wrong. First, you have to talk to somebody you trust. An adult friend, family member. Create a safe exit plan. Consider getting some retraining ordered. In other words, you have to retrain your brain not to get into these relationships. Don't make the assumption that it's always women in these relationships, because it's not. Because yours truly was in 2 abusive relationships. And, my day and age, there was nothing like there is today. This is a caution for you. Do not accept or make excuses for your partner's abusive behavior. It is not your fault. You did not cause it. It has nothing to do with you. It's their issue, and they need to deal with it. But you need to get out of it. Remember that physical abuse is never, ever your fault. They may say, I was that person that hit my girl. Okay, I was. I was horrible. I got help. And it's sad that these guys, these people sit there all through their life and think it's okay to do this. Protecting yourself from physical abuse. Unhealthy or abusive relationships usually get worse. It's important to know the warning signs to prevent more serious harm. If you are in an unhealthy or abusive relationships, consider making a safe exit plan. Chart with your peer advocate and for more information. There are forms of abuse. For me, I've gone through most of these. Emotional abuse or verbal abuse is the worst, because it's like Dr. Phil says, that we hear at 250 words a minute. So by our partners sitting there saying you're worthless, you're dumb, you're an idiot, you know, you're nasty, you're a bitch, you know. These words play on us. And the problem is that we think at 1,500 words a minute. So, you know, hearing that word once, just imagine how many times it goes through your head. Sexual abuse. This includes rape, tying you up and taking advantage of you, leaving you in a room and using you for a sex slave, you know. Play is play, and that's all well and good. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a little romance in a relationship, as long as it doesn't go too far. Financial abuse. This is usually done with elderly people, but I have seen it done with couples as well. That the controlling party takes the money from the other person. You know, that's financial abuse. You know, and that's not good. It's a different thing when you have a partnership with your partner or your spouse. That's a whole different thing. It's not the same thing. Digressional abuse, which is very damaging. It becomes very violent. It's horrible. Striking or physical abuse. This usually results in bruises and problems and issues, constant visits to the OR or the emergency rooms, you know, to get broken bones fixed or sprained fingers or, you know, bruises. If your partner is doing this to you, you know, you need to understand that. We're going to look at two scriptures. James chapter 2, and we're going to look at Malachi chapter 2 verses 13 to 17. What is the causing of all the quarrels and fights among you? It isn't your desires, the battling inside you. Your desires sing and don't have them. You kill and are jealous. Jealousy is a huge one, okay? And still, you can't get them. So you fight and quarrel, bickering and arguing and yelling and screaming at each other is what I'm talking about. If you're in a relationship like that, that's verbal abuse, okay? This is not good, you know? It's not good at all, you know? You know, it's not good at all. You know? We just aren't supposed to do that to the people we love. You know? We're just not. You know? It is unacceptable behavior. You know? You unfaithful husbands and wives, don't you know that loving the world is hating God? When we sin and are in sin and acting out to our partner and saying to our partner, I love you, but you made me hit you. That's stupid. It's childish. You know? It's utterly ridiculous. Why you would allow another human being to put their hands on you. Let me ask you a question. If you were out and about and somebody come up to you and punched you in the face, would you charge them? More than likely you would. But you allow your partner to beat you senseless? That doesn't even make sense. Whoever chooses to be the world's friends makes himself God's enemies. Or do you suppose the scripture speaks in vain when it says that there is a spirit in us which longs to envy? In other words, it longs to sin. It enjoys sin. It thrives on sin. It enjoys it. Well, but the grace he gives us is greater, which is why it says God opposes argument, but to the humble he gives grace. So how do we do this? You know, how do we do this? Well, it's very simple. Therefore, submit to God. Moreover, take a stand against the adversary. You don't have to fight alone, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and he will come close to you. Clean your hands, sinner, and profile your hearts. You double-minded people, wail, mourn, sob. Let your laughter be turned into mourning, and your joy into gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Brothers and sisters, stop speaking against each other. In other words, gossip. Whoever speaks against a brother or sister or judges a brother or sister is speaking against the Torah and judging the Torah. And if you judge the Torah, you do not deor of what the Torah says, but a judge. In other words, in layman's terms, you're putting yourself in the position of God. When you judge others because of their belief, because of how they feel, how they talk, who they are, who they love, I'm talking about the LGBTQ community. Okay, if you're judging a person based on age, race, creed, or color, or sexual orientation, you double-minded people, you hypocrites, you vipers, you snakes. You have no idea what you're talking about. There is but one giver of the Torah. He also is the judge. The power to deliver and destroy. Do you think that you are judging your fellow human beings? Now listen. Who you say today or tomorrow, we will go and such a city. Stay there a year, trading and making profit. You don't even know if you will be alive tomorrow. For all you are is in the mist that appears for a little while and then disappears. Now listen to me, brothers and sisters in my flock. Instead, you ought to say, if Adonai wants it to happen, we will live to do this or that. But it is to your advantage. It is to your arrogance. If you're boasting, that's a sin. As such, boasting is evil. It's the pride of life. To boast, put yourself above God. Put yourself above Elohim and says, I am God. So then, anyone who knows the right thing to do and fails to do it is committing a sin. Am I saying that I am perfect? Boy, did you get that one wrong. I am not. Ask my wife. I lose my temper on the computer all the time. You know? I'm horrible. But I'm coming. Let's go to the Old Testament for a second. And here is something else you do. You cover Adonai's altar with your tears, with weeping and singing, because he no longer looks at the offering to receive your gift with favor. Nevertheless, you ask, why is this? Because Adonai is the witness between you and the wife and your youth, and you have broken faith with her, though she is your companion, your wife by covenant. And he made them one flesh, in order to have spiritual blood relations. For what one flesh seeks is the seed of God. Therefore, take heed to the Spirit. Don't break faith with your wife or your youth, your brothers or your sisters. You know, your partner. Don't do that. You know. For I hate divorce, says Adonai. Says Adonai, the God of Israel. And him who covets his clothing will vengeance, saith Adonai Tosakat. Therefore, take heed in your spirit and don't break faith. If you have wavered, Adonai, with your words, yet you ask, how have we wearied him? By saying that anyone who does wrong is good, for Adonai's perfection, and that he delights with them, or by asking, where is God of justice? You know, we sit in sin and we wonder why we're where we are. Well, we wonder why we lose our temper. Let's look at Peter. Picture this. The Messiah is on the water, walking toward them. And he says to them, calls out to them, brothers, here am I. Peter sees his Messiah and wants to go to him. And that lack of faith doesn't allow him to step out of the boat. But the Messiah says to him, come to me. Peter, by faith, steps out of the boat. And he begins to walk on the water. Can you imagine what kind of feeling that is? That would be such a uplifting, mind-blowing, absolutely fantabulous feeling to walk to the Messiah. But you see, he got cocky and he got complacent and got proud and began to boast and say, look at me. He sank immediately. But the Messiah, out of the goodness of his heart, ran to him and picked him out of that and says, do not take your eyes off me. This is what we must do. It's okay to have a temper, but it's not okay to use it against our spouses, or our partners, or our children. Hitting out of anger is absolutely, unequivocally horribleness. Same as beating an animal, you know. It's not a good thing. Abuse in any form is wrong, whether it be emotional, psychological, physical, or sexual. It's wrong on so many levels. It's wrong spiritually, ethically, and morally. Don't do this. If you can't do this on your own, Heaven Elohim Temple will help you. I will help you. You can always leave me a message or call me. My number is on this link. Feel free. I'm always available for my flock. I will always help you. I will help you find that balance and teach you how to be a disciple of the Messiah. First things first. Salvation. Perhaps you're uncertain about where your salvation and where you will spend eternity. But Adonai promised in his word that anyone who seeks to know the truth by saying, I am here. John 7 verse 17 says, for if anyone chooses to do the Messiah's will, they will find out whether my teaching comes from Abba, or whether I speak on my own. Rak HaKadosh offers himself as a gift. Anyone who trusts him. Let's make sure you're going to heaven. Say this simple prayer with us. Abba, I am a sinner. I am sorry for my sins I have committed. I know my sins have put distance between us. I know the distance between us can be healed because I believe Yeshua died on the executioner's stake for my sins. And rose on the third day from the dead. I now receive him as my personal Messiah and accept the gift of forgiveness, and in return receive eternal life in the kingdom of heaven. Thank you, Abba. In Adonai's name I pray. Amen. Take a moment to let others know you prayed this prayer of salvation. Matthew 10, verse 32 to 33 says, therefore, whoever will confess me in front of people, I also will confess them in front of my Father in the heavens. But whosoever denies me in front of people, I also will deny them in front of my Father in the heavens. Tell others of your salvation. You can do that through social media. Stay strong in your faith and enjoy the blessings you now have in Elohim. You can contact me on my links at Facebook. Feel free to do that at any time. May God bless and keep you. Abba, thank you for being here with us. Bless, guide, strengthen, and keep us in all we say, in all we do. And I say these things in Yeshua's name. Amen.